Some lines are meant to stay hidden. But what if you could see them? Shin Hyun is a high school girl who was born with the ability to see red lines above people's heads, connections between them. When she was young, she used to draw what she saw. One day, her mom found one of her drawings and noticed that her husband and her own sister were connected by a red line. Believing she had been cheated on, she killed her husband in anger. After that incident, Shin's mother disappeared from her life. Shin Hyun believed her ability was a curse. She thought it brought misfortune to others and blamed herself for what happened in the past. Feeling trapped and burdened, she tried to end her life. But each time she did, something unexpected happened and she survived. No matter what she tried, she always came back alive. This only made her feel more stuck, as if even that decision wasn't in her control. Since that day, Shin shut herself in a closed room. She covered all the windows and walls with cardboard and refused to face the outside world. One day, while sitting alone in her dark room, Shin suddenly heard the sound of a car horn outside. Curious, she carefully peeked through a small gap in the window. Outside, she saw a girl standing next to a car. From inside the car, she noticed something strange. So many red lines were flowing out from it, all connecting to different places. But the girl standing alone had only one red line. The girl didn't get into the car. Instead, she quietly walked away. A little later, Shin spotted her neighbor Lady Hee-won outside through the window. When the lady smiled and waved at her, Shin immediately shut the window, not wanting any interaction. Even inside her room, the red lines didn't leave her. When she turned on the TV, she could still see the same glowing red threads connecting people on the screen. The lines were always there, no matter where she looked. Then she heard a knock on the door. It was the neighbor lady again. Shin didn't open the door. But through the small opening, the woman gently placed a bag of fruits. She smiled and said, "Usually I give others rice cakes, but for you, I brought fruits." And then, quietly, the woman left. Shin slowly ate the fruits left by the neighbor. It felt like she was eating properly after a long time. At school, a girl named Kong Sunnae was being bullied by her classmates. They kept asking her for money, even though her uncle was a police officer. Nearby, some boys were sitting on a terrace, but they didn't get involved. Elsewhere, the male lead Han Wook was introduced. He's a police officer. Every day, he casually scratches his colleague Dong Sik's car, like it's part of his routine. He's known for being a playboy. He has many red lines around him, showing multiple relationships. He was having an affair with a female colleague. During an intimate moment, she told him that her wedding was next week and asked him to attend. He felt disappointed, stopped right away, and turned down her invitation. Later, Han and Dong Sik visited a crime scene. A woman had been murdered, but there were no signs of robbery or sexual assault. They couldn't figure out the motive. Another officer arrived and said that a neighbor had seen a man in black clothes and a helmet, delivering food to the house before the incident. While watching TV, Shin started noticing something strange. Many recent murder cases were being reported. In one news clip, she saw a man with only one red line above his head. That caught her attention. He was wearing a helmet, just like the man the police were looking for. Suddenly, Shin saw the same black-dressed, helmet-wearing man walking toward the building across from hers, the one where the kind neighbor lady lived. Panic hit her. She rushed to find her phone. But she hadn't used it in a long time, so it was completely dead. She plugged it in to charge. But just as she was about to call the police, she saw something shocking: the red line connecting that man to her. They were somehow linked. Realizing that, she froze. She couldn't go through with the call. Meanwhile, at home, Sunnae asked Han for money. He noticed bruises on her, but she avoided the topic. Frustrated, he asked if she thought of him as just an ATM. Later, he looked across the street and noticed something odd: the windows of the opposite building were all covered with cardboard. It felt suspicious. Then, he got word about the phone call made earlier. A woman had reported seeing the helmet man that night. The report came from the building right across from his own. Without wasting time, Officer Han headed there to find out who made the call. When Officer Han arrived at Shin's apartment building, a man from the upper floor came down and casually said, "She never opens her door. Even her garbage is thrown out by someone else." The man walked away without much interest. Officer Han didn't leave. He gently knocked on her door and said he just wanted to ask about the phone call made the night before about the murder. After a pause, the door opened just a little. Only a small gap. Through it, Shin quietly said, "That was a mistake. That man, he and my neighbor knew each other." Han could tell she was hiding something, but he didn't push. He softly asked her about her parents. She went silent. Realizing she didn't want to talk, Han nodded and stepped back. He didn't want to disturb her further. So, he left. Kang Sun-ae had stopped going to school. The fear of facing her classmates had taken over her completely. Every day felt heavier than the last. One day at school, while Kang Sun-ae was absent, Kim Hai and a few other bully girls went to her shelf. Without any hesitation, they opened her locker. Inside, they found a small bundle of neatly folded letters, Kang Sun-ae's personal love letters, carefully kept and hidden. They took them out, giggling and whispering. They didn't care about how personal or private those letters were. To them, it was just another excuse to humiliate her. After being pushed to her limit, Kang Sun-ae received a threatening message. Fear and desperation were building up inside her. That evening, while walking alone, she saw a woman withdrawing cash from an ATM. Kang Sun-ae quietly followed her, her eyes fixed on the money. Her hands were shaking. Her mind wasn't calm, just filled with panic and pressure. As the woman walked into a quiet street, Sun-ae got closer, ready to snatch the cash. But just at that moment, a group of young men suddenly walked past and startled her. She froze. In that brief moment, something hit her, what she was about to do. It wasn't her. This wasn't who she wanted to become. Realizing how far she had fallen, Kang Sun-ae stepped back, ashamed of the mistake she had almost committed. At the police station, Officer Han and Dong-sik were reviewing the murder case again. They discovered that the victim had some connection to a university professor named Young Min. Both of them were members at the same gym, and there were reports that the professor had been following her frequently. Then came another detail: Young Min lived in the same apartment complex as Shin Hyun. Han asked to see a photo. As soon as he saw it, he recognized the man. It was the same person who lived on the upper floor, the one he had briefly met when he visited Shin Hyun. They decided to check Young Min's apartment immediately. But just then, Han-wook got a call from the hospital about his father. He had to leave, so Dong-sik went to the professor's place alone first, while Han-wook rushed to the hospital. At the hospital, Han-wook ran to the terrace and found his father standing near the edge. He reached just in time and pulled him back safely. Meanwhile, at Young Min's apartment, Dong-sik looked around and noticed one of the walls painted red, with many red lines drawn on it. Before he could look further, Young Min appeared and attacked him. Officer Dong-sik was knocked down and tied to a chair. Before he was attacked, Dong-sik had managed to call Han-wook, but the line got cut. Han-wook sensed something was wrong and rushed toward the apartment building. At the same time, Young Min, wearing his usual black clothing and helmet, headed to the neighbor lady's apartment. Inside her room, Shin Hyun looked through the keyhole. She saw the man standing at the door across. Suddenly, he turned and stared straight at the keyhole. That moment made her uneasy. She rushed to use her phone, but the battery was dead. Without waiting, she picked up a small knife and went out herself. Her body was weak, and she stumbled and fell on the way, but forced herself up. Inside the neighbor's apartment, the man had already entered. The neighbor woman was surprised to see him and asked why he came. Before he attacked, he paused and looked above her head. There were multiple red lines floating above her, a sign that she had been involved with several people. Among them, one clear red line connected her directly with him. They had been physically involved in the past. The man gave a cold stare and suddenly grabbed her by the throat and started choking her. Shin arrived just then. She saw the scene and stepped in. Young Min turned toward her, calmly walked up, took the knife from her hand without force, and stabbed her in the stomach. He then turned back toward the neighbor lady to finish his attack. She quickly kicked him using a pillow. His glasses flew off and fell to the floor. He panicked and searched for them. Meanwhile, Han-wook reached Shin's apartment. He saw her glasses on the ground. Inside, he noticed strange drawings on the walls, cases, red lines, symbols. It was all connected to what she had been seeing. Suddenly, he heard a sound from the apartment across. There, as the man tried to attack again, Shin Hyun, though injured, used the knife and stabbed his foot. At that moment, Han-wook fired a shot from the opposite side and hit the attacker. The man collapsed. As he lay on the ground, he looked at the red lines above his hand and saw them slowly fade away. He whispered something quietly while being taken into the ambulance. Shin Hyun suspected that the man could see red lines. Later, Han-wook informed Shin that some formal questioning would follow. Kang Sunhae walked in casually and asked why Shin was wearing sunglasses at night. At school the next morning, Sunhae stepped into her classroom, only to freeze. On the blackboard was a cruel drawing of her face, along with the intimate words from the love letter they had discovered. The girl who had mocked her earlier, Kim Hae, was now reading those lines aloud, mocking her in front of the entire class. Humiliated and burning with rage, Sunhae rushed toward her, trying to grab the letter back. But before she could, teacher Kyu Jin arrived. In the middle of the tension, the letter was torn to pieces. In the staff room, the teacher calmly advised Sunhae to be brave, to ignore provocation, and to avoid unnecessary fights. Before leaving the room, Sunhae noticed something odd in her shelf, a pair of spectacles. They looked ordinary but felt strange. Meanwhile, at the police department, the hero Han-wook, a quiet but determined officer, discussed the recent shootout case. He had killed a suspect, and now he needed to visit the suspect's apartment for more clues. When he arrived, he found the place unsettling. The walls were filled with strange red lines, crossing, bending, looping. None of it made sense. One evening, Shin received a message, "I'm seeing the same world you see. Come to the school to meet me." Unaware of who sent it, Shin, determined, cleared out her apartment, locked away her past, and made up her mind to use her strange ability for good. Shin enrolled in Sunhae's school as a new student. When teacher Kyu Jin asked her to introduce herself, she stayed silent and quietly went to her seat. No one knew who she really was or why she had come. Back at home, Sunhae placed the mysterious spectacles over her eyes. And in that instant, the world changed. A red line hovered above her head, but when she tried to touch it, her fingers passed right through. She stepped outside, just as Han-wook returned to his apartment. The moment she saw the red lines swarming above his head, she panicked. Terrified, she screamed and ran out of the house. Han-wook stood there, stunned. He had no idea what she'd seen, or why she was so afraid. On the street, Sunhae looked around. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Red lines connected people. Lines from one heart to another. Love, desire, obsession, all laid bare before her. From a distance, Shin, who had been watching, sensed something was different. She noticed Sunhae's reaction and grew suspicious. The next day, Han-wook casually asked Sunhae for a ride. But this time, she didn't respond. She simply glared at him coldly. The red line above his car disturbed her and she turned away. At school, Sunhae walked in confidently, her eyes scanning the students. Some were connected by lines. But her teacher had none. She was completely disconnected, no relationship, no emotional tie. That's when Sunhae spotted something alarming. Kim Hae was secretly linked to one of the professors, their red lines intertwined. Sunhae understood. They were having an affair. Back at the station, Han-wook came across a brochure. Recognized him instantly, the professor who had died. But in the photo, the man was wearing spectacles. Oddly, when he'd collected the professor's belongings, the glasses were missing. He rushed to the school and met a teacher. She mistook him for Sunae's father. He explained that he was her uncle, but this time he had come to inquire about a murder case. He asked her about the professor. She seemed genuinely shocked. She had no idea he was a murderer or that he even wore glasses. At the same time, on the rooftop of the school, Sunae once again faced danger. Kim Hae now tried to harm her. But this time, Sunae was different. She said she wouldn't give money, that Kim Hae should feel embarrassed. Kim Hae got angry and kicked her down. Shin appeared and told her to stop it. Kim Hae moved on to another victim. But the girl attacked only for Shin to pull her toward the edge of the building. Holding her at the brink, Kim Hae trembled with fear. Shin made her promise to stay away from them. In fear, she agreed and left. As the danger faded, Sunae asked why Shin helped her. She might have been killed. But Shin asked her back, "Are you mad at me?" Sunae replied, "Why would I be mad at you? Don't interfere in my business," and walked away. Later that evening, Han-wook visited a bar one young man had often gone to. He showed a photo, and the bartender remembered him well. He used to count people, he said. Staring at their heads, whispering numbers, and fighting with others. Han-wook took notes in his diary. At the same time, Sunae was tailing young Min and Kim Hae. She managed to click a photo of them secretly. Later, she sent the image to Kim Hae, trying to blackmail her. But Kim Hae wasn't scared. Her reply was cold, "If this leaks, it won't hurt me. It'll destroy the professor, his career, his family." She tossed her phone aside and made it clear she wouldn't be telling him. Sunae realized blackmail wouldn't work. She needed another plan. While walking, Sunae told Shin she planned to leave the city. When Shin asked about her uncle, she said coldly, "He doesn't care." When Shin told her about her loneliness, Sunae said that if Shin's mother were alive, she would have appeared earlier. She indirectly said her mother must have died. In the staff room, a conversation was unfolding. Teachers were whispering about a scandal. News about an illegal relationship between a professor and a student. They warned each other to be careful. At that time, young Min commented that he was old, no student would be interested in him. But at that moment, young Min got the photo on his phone. And a message demanding money. Panic set in. He knew everything was about to collapse. Later, he spoke to Kim Hae in front of everyone and scolded her. But later, at the football court, he went to visit her. When she asked why he behaved like that, he said he got a message about it. She was fearless. She said it was from Sunae, who was using it to blackmail her. She added that it wouldn't affect her since she was a minor. At school, Sunae had changed drastically. She blackmailed another teacher as well, exposing an affair between two teachers in the same school. They ended up fighting. Sunae became very casual with others and even got involved with one of the boyfriends from the bullying gang. But that too ended in a fight. Shin watched everything closely and started suspecting the spectacles Sunae was wearing. Later, in the bathroom, Sunae was doing her makeup. Shin asked her why she had been wearing glasses lately. Sunae replied that her eyesight was getting weaker. Then Shin asked if she was seeing any red lines. Sunae answered by correctly stating how many red lines were on Shin and how many others had. That's when Sunae realized Shin could see the red lines even without wearing glasses. She asked Shin where she got that ability. Shin said she found it on her shelf and didn't know who had put it there. Shin warned her that the murderer was also wearing glasses like those and told her to give them back. But Sunae hesitated to return them. Later, while they were walking, Sunae asked how to remove the red line. Shin remembered how, when her mother killed her father, his red line had disappeared. But she chose not to reveal that to Sunae. Meanwhile, each time young Min looked at his phone, he grew more nervous. Sunae was with her boyfriend when she received a message saying young Min was ready to give her money and asked her to come to the rooftop of the school. She decided to go. On the way, the two of them entered a studio. Meanwhile, someone else was following her. It was Kim Hae. She had overheard everything Sunny and Shin spoke about in the bathroom. When the time came, she snatched the glasses from Sunny's bag and left. She began to see glowing lines on people's heads. She felt satisfied with this new world. But suddenly, someone attacked her. She disappeared into darkness. When Sunny looked into her bag, she panicked. Her glasses were gone. She asked at a shop if anyone had seen them, but unfortunately, no one had. She called Shin and accused her of taking the glasses. But Shin didn't understand what had happened. Sunny said she had to go to the school and hung up. Shin wondered why she was going to school at that time. At the rooftop, Youngmin pleaded with Sunny, asking why she was doing this. He said, as a professor, how could he get such money? He had a family. But Sunny replied, where were you when Kim Hai was bullying me? And is having an affair with a student something to be proud of? At the same moment, he got a message from his wife with the same photo. Someone had already informed her. He lost control. He asked Sunny why she did this, but she didn't understand. Then, he pushed her. When Shin arrived, she saw Sunny falling, and Sunny was lying below in a pool of blood. Slowly, the red line above her head faded away. She's gone, but the mystery has just begun. Who's behind the red lines and hidden secrets? Stay tuned, episode 3 is on the way.